Hello and welcome to Watchdog Wargaming. Today is part two of my Boltactionkorea supplement review of Warlord Games' Chinese range of miniatures. And today it's going to be the Chinese People's Volunteer Army Infantry Squad. There we are. So what I'll do is I'll open up the box in a second, just review the packaging and everything else as we normally do, and then we'll go and have a look at the figures a bit more closer this time around, and I'll just give you a little bit more background into the Chinese People Volunteer Army Infantry Squad. So the Chinese PVA Infantry Squad by Warlord Games, 10 metal 28mm Korean War miniatures. Okay, so it comes in the typical Warlord cardboard box with the picture of the infantry squad on the front, and painting guide, which I use for a painting guide, on the back, and a little blurb about the actual troops that you're actually going to paint. So it says equipped primarily with rifles and hand grenades. Many Chinese soldiers were used to preparations of battle following years of civil war, and that was fighting against the nationalists. Combining experience with seemingly unending numbers, Chinese People's Volunteer Army proved an unexpected and unwelcome adversary for the forces of the United Nations during the war. You had the preferred manpower over firepower. So the Chinese made widespread use of bugles, whistles and rattles, and drums to provide field communications. There was apparently no radios below regimental level within the Chinese army. The standard infantry squad in the Chinese army was reorganized down from 14 soldiers to a more manageable 10 following the end of the Chinese Civil War, which was after their war with the Japanese. Further reorganizations would happen throughout the Korean War. So in this box set, we have, like I says, 10 metal models, one NCO with a SMG, which is in this case is a PPSH, one bugler, 2-man LMG team with the DP light machine gun, 6 riflemen, and 6 plastic bases. So I've already taken the plastic cover off, and so we'll open up and have a look. So just put that to one side, and there's your typical bases. I'll put those to one side as well. Packaging, and here's the actual wrapper for itself. Like with most of my things, cheers to Becky M for packing this, and we'll open this up next. Before we look at the figures, I suggest that we actually have a look at the artwork, and so then we can use that for reference to actually for the miniatures. Now, the design for the miniatures has included in these figures. So you've got the typical Mao style soft cap, but also you've got your sort of like your shranker, sort of warm cold weather furry cap, which has got the ear protectors as well. They're wearing their summer uniforms. So this is their summer jacket and trousers, and puttees, and not always did they actually wear boots as well. So they also had canvas shoes with a rubber sole, very similar to sort of the old the old DAP plimsoll types that people can remember from a lot of years back when they were in school. Also as well, they had a leather belt, and depending on what weapon they carried, whether it was the PPSH, so they got the magazine, the webbing here for the spare magazine, or if they had rifles, or even the Sten type machine guns, they would have a chest rig. But also as well, you can just make it out, and on one on the back of here, he's got an over-the-shoulder slung grenade carrier, which had 2 grenades carried in there as well, which is very similar to the potato masher. As I said, you've got the bugler, which is the chief form of communication, but also had a psychological issue or an effect as well. especially if there was a mass attack of infantry. And then again, you've got the number one on the LMG with his DP light machine gun. So bear all this in mind as we're going through the models, and so I'll quickly go through the different types of weapons as well that we're likely to see. So excuse me, my next door neighbours just decided to get the lawnmower out. So during this time, the Korean War, especially with the Chinese coming in, there was I would say a pick and mix of types of weapons that were available to arm the millions of Chinese soldiers that they actually had. So whether they were licensed or unlicensed copies of weapons or captured from the nationalist Chinese, which in turn had actually been supplied by the US in the first place to fight the Japanese. So you had many weapons like the 7.92 Type 24 bolt-action rifle, which is actually a Chinese copy of the Guer 98. And then you had the 7.92 Hang Yong 88, which is a copy of the Guer 88. You also had that's the bolt-action rifles, and then you had 7.62 Type 49 and Type 50, which is a direct copy of the Russian PPSH submachine guns. But also as well, they had the Sten gun, Mark III Sten gun, that was issued in vast numbers by the Canadians, which was the both utilized for 9mm, and also the Russian short 7.62 ammunition as well. And again, so Imperial Japanese Army and anything that they captured of the UN or the Republic of Korea, and anything that was given to them from their communist brothers in the Soviet Union. So these soldiers, even though they're armed with a rifle, could have been a Japanese 7.7 Arasaka, a German 7.92 Mauser, or a Soviet 7.62 Mosin Nagant, bolt-action rifles, of course, German MP40s, US Thompson 45, and Chinese 7.62 Type 50s. But also as well, like I said, Canadian Sten gun was also available as well, and everything else that they captured. So 7.92 DP-27 light machine guns, as this one's got here. Japanese Type 99, which was 7.9mm, and the Bren gun look-alike with the Czechoslovakian 7.92 ZB-26 light machine gun. So these are all weapons that were available to the Chinese during the Korean War. So this gives you plenty of options for kit batching if you want something something that's different within your Chinese PV infantry forces. Then so especially within what spare parts you get within some of the bolt action kits, you can easily change over the figures. Right, talking of figures, I've opened up the box, I've opened up the plastic container, and I've got the figures to the side of us. So no further ado, let's have a close-up of the figures, and just bear in mind what I told you about the uniforms and the types of weapons, and let's have a closer look. Okay, so the first figure we're going to start with is the NCO with SMG. So as I said before, he's got the Mao style soft cap on there. He's got the lightweight summer trousers, and this type he actually looks like he's wearing the plimsoll type trainers. He's got a leather belt, and then he's got the magazine pouch here. That's for the PPSH magazine. And then over the shoulder, he's got personal kit or whatever he needs, maps, everything else. It's had a little bit of a flash on it as well, so I just scraped it off, and it's got this bit of dust, so I'll make sure I wash it all before I paint on it. As I said, these figures are actually on the shorter side of 28mm, so probably in line with the sizes of Chinese forces at the time. Yeah, PPSH. So it's a good pose, and yeah, so we'll move on to the next one. So So the next figure is the bugler. So as we said, the nothing below the all radios were above regimental level, and down to the lowest level. Communications was all done by the side of by flares, bugles, drums, or even verbal by runner. So this is slightly different chappy. So he's got the soft cap on. He's got the jackets and the trousers. This summer tunic, but this one's actually then got puttees on and what looks like his boots. Bit of flash there, so I'll take that away unless I can incorporate it in his stand somehow. And he's armed with a long rifle. From the marks of it is very Mauser lookalike, and so that's probably the I'm just trying to remember what the actual the Hangyong 88, which seems to be the most proficient weapon that Chinese used. That was the direct copy of the Mauser. There we are, and that's the bugler. The next figure we have is the light machine gun, armed with the 7.62 DP27 light machine gun. So the gunner here is again a soft cap, jacket, trousers, puttees. There is a little bit of flash on here, so I'll have to be careful with that later on. I've had a similar one of these weapons before, and actually the barrel broke onto the main body, so I've got to be really careful with this figure. And that's the only flaw I see in this one. Yeah, he's got over the shoulder satchel and other weapon bits. So that's the light machine gun. So we'll go on to the rifleman now. So doesn't seem to be one that is designated as the number 2 for the two-man light machine gun team. So one of the remaining infantry can be used for the number 2. One thing I have noticed on this, these are all individual sculpts. There doesn't seem to be any copies of a figure, so they're all separate sculpts that are all slightly different in different ways. So again, another bolt action Chinese soldier, same uniform, over the shoulder satchel on both sides. So you could potentially use this as the number 2 for the light machine gun. There we are. Okay, on to the next rifleman. So this rifleman is slightly different, isn't that? He's got the soft, very Ushanka type hat on, one that you can drop down and protect your ears during sort of inclement weathers. But also he's armed with the Chinese hand grenade, which is very similar to the German hand grenade, potato masher type. So again, armed with a bolt action rifle and over shoulder satchels. But this one's also, like I said, he's got the over shoulder grenade pouch. So there should be three grenades going into there, which was regularly available. And the Chinese taught their soldiers to use the grenades both in as an offense and a defense weapon to great effect. The grenades themselves, from what I've read on personal memoirs from Commonwealth soldiers, is that the grenades, if they didn't go off, you could throw them back quite quickly. But there we are. So we're going to preparing to throw a grenade. Moving on to the next rifleman. Okay, to the next one. This is slightly different again. So he's actually got a bandolier across his chest, so that it could either be a leather bandolier or a canvas bandolier for his rifle. The actual magazine on the rifle itself is slightly different to the previous one, so that's possibly Mosan Nagant. And he's got the soft furry cap on as well. This one appears to be wearing the trainer type boots on there as well, and over the shoulder satchel on both sides. Okay, the next sculpt is got a rifleman with his rifle in the aim. Again, this one's slightly different. He's got a bandolier. No, he hasn't got a bandolier. Oh yes, he has got a bandolier. So it's It's not a bandolier. It's either a bedroll or a bedroll food roll. So it's this is have their food in a type of canvas sack that actually contain, like I said, their bedding or their food for the day. So it's got his belt. It's got a webbing of some over the shoulder satchel and his bedroll, and he's in the aim with his rifle. Soft cap this time. There's the summer dress, and again, it looks like he's got his trainers on. Okay, the next soldier is looks like he's in the ready. Again, it's very similar to the rifle, very similar to the Mauser Kar-98. He's got his winter cap on, but this time with the ears down. He's got magazines. Sorry, not magazines. He's got webbing for rifle clips there, and over the soldier satchel. And again, he's wearing the pumps type shoes. Second from last trooper. Again, he's got the actual magazine on here. Very looks like a Mosin Nagant with a sliding slight magazine that slants slightly. He's armed with his puttees again and boots, similar tunic and trousers as the other one, and he's also then got the grenade weapon as well as part of his and over the shoulder satchel. Again, it looks like he's in a ready pose. So the last of the infantry squad is in a kneeling position. Again, this Chinese soldier is armed with bolt-action rifle. From it looks like he's got a Mosin Nagant slightly from the magazine, where it's angled. He's wearing his furry cap, his shanker type. It looks like he's got a bandolier for his clips, over the shoulder satchel, and he looks like he's wearing the pumps. So that is the last of the 10 figures actually in the box. So that was one NCO with SMG, one bugler, a 2-man LMG team, 6 riflemen, and the plastic bases, which you saw at the beginning. Right. Hi and welcome back. So finally, that was the review of the Warlord Games Chinese PVA Infantry Squad. So next time I shall be doing a review of the Chinese PVA Conscript Squad, as the Chinese army was made up as conscripts as well as regulars. So hopefully you'll join me for that. So don't forget to like and subscribe below, and I will see you all in a couple of, well, maybe in a couple of days time. So you take care, and I will catch up with you real soon. Bye for now.
Squad morale restored.